Hello everyone. Have you ever promised yourself, I'll start tomorrow? Tomorrow, I'll start exercising. Tomorrow, I'll start learning English. Tomorrow, I'll write my first book. Tomorrow, I'll try launching a YouTube channel. And then, that tomorrow never comes. I know this feeling very well, because I've had many such tomorrows in my life. Tomorrow, a concept that sounds both safe and comfortable, because when you say, I'll do it tomorrow, it means today you don't have to face the fear of failure, overcome awkwardness, or step out of your comfort zone. But the harsh truth is, the more we wait to be ready, the more precious opportunities we miss, because there will never be a day when you wake up and feel, yes, today I have enough confidence, enough skills, and enough experience to start. Readiness doesn't just happen. It only appears after you start. The story of Lynn. I want to tell you the story of Lynn, a woman working in the marketing industry. Lynn had dreamed of opening a small bakery since college because she loved baking and often received compliments from friends. But for 5 years, the idea remained tucked away in a notebook. Along with a note, when I have enough capital, enough experience, and enough confidence, I will open the shop. Then one day, Lynn heard that a classmate had opened an online bakery and was highly successful, even though that friend was arguably not as good at baking as Lynn. When I asked Lynn how she felt, she offered a sad smile. Honestly, I had everything I needed, except the start. You see, sometimes it's not a lack of ability. It's just a lack of courage to simply begin, even when we're not ready. Why do we always want to prepare a little more? There are 3 main reasons why most people postpone starting. The fear of failure. We worry that we'll mess up, be ridiculed, or waste time and money. The desire for perfection. We want everything to be complete before we go public. But the truth is, perfection never arrives. The comfort zone. In there, we're safe from hurt, but we also can't grow. The sad part is, all 3 reasons only exist in our heads. Out there, opportunities keep passing us by every day. Just imagine, if you had started your project a year ago, even if you weren't good at it, by today you would have 365 days of experience. You would know what works and what doesn't. You would have met people who could help you and learned invaluable lessons. Conversely, if you keep waiting for just a little more, a year from now, you will still be standing at the starting line with the same fear you have today. Today's message. No one is completely ready before they start. The people you admire, from successful entrepreneurs and famous artists to ordinary people living fulfilled lives, all share one thing. They started when things were still uncertain. And the wonderful thing is, when you dare to start, even if you're not ready, that very process will make you ready. Let today be the day you stop waiting and start taking action. Not tomorrow, not when you're good enough, but right now. Part 1. Introduction. The story of tomorrows. Here's a question I want you to ask yourself right now. What is one thing in my life that I've been dreaming about for a long time but still haven't started working on? Maybe it's learning a new skill, launching a personal project, changing jobs, exercising every day, or simply calling an old friend to reconcile. You know you want to do it. You know it's important, but you're still waiting. You wait until you have more time. You wait until you have more money. You wait until everything is more perfect. And you tell yourself, when I'm ready, I will begin. I understand that, because I myself have lived in the loop of such tomorrows. Tomorrow. It sounds simple, but it's a sweet trap. It gives us the feeling that we have a plan, that we will do it. But, not now. Today, we have the right to postpone. But do you know, every time we say, tomorrow, we are stealing an opportunity from ourselves. The story of Lynn. I want to tell you about Lynn, a marketing professional in Saigon. Since college, Lynn has been obsessed with baking. She often gifted her cakes to friends, and everyone complimented her on how delicious and skillful they were. Lynn dreamed of opening a small bakery one day, where she could sell goods and host baking workshops. But year after year, that dream stayed dormant in a notebook. With the note, when I have enough capital, enough experience, enough confidence, I will open the shop. Then one day, Lynn heard that a classmate, who wasn't as good at baking as her, had launched an online shop and was very successful. When I asked Lynn how she felt, she just smiled sadly and said, "I honestly had everything except the start." The story of Hoy. Hoy is a guy with a passion for photography. For years, he saved up all his money to buy an expensive camera, beautiful lenses, and complete accessories, but he still hadn't taken any decent photo sets. The reason? Hoy always thought, "I need to learn more techniques. I need to practice my craft. I need to watch a few more online courses." But then he realized, despite buying all the equipment, the thing he missed most was pressing the shutter button on that very first picture. These two stories have one thing in common. Both Lynn and Hoy were waiting to be ready. And perhaps you are waiting, too. Why do we always want to prepare a little more? I once thought the simple answer was that we want to do a good job. But actually, hidden beneath are three main reasons. The fear of failure. We are afraid of messing up, afraid of being laughed at, afraid of putting in effort only for the results to disappoint. This fear makes us find every reason to delay. Perfectionism. We want everything to be perfect before starting. But perfection is a destination that never arrives. Because once you achieve this one thing, there will always be another, not enough, that pops up. The comfort zone. When you haven't started, you haven't failed, and you haven't been hurt, but you haven't moved forward either. Just imagine, if you had started your project a year ago, even if you weren't good at it, by today you would have 365 days of experience. You would know how to do it better. You would have met companions, and you would have learned the lessons that books cannot teach. Conversely, if you keep waiting for just a little more, a year from now, you will still be at the starting line, with the exact same fear you have now. One thing I want you to remember. No one is completely ready before they start. The people you admire, from entrepreneurs, artists, and creators to ordinary people living fulfilled lives, all share one thing. They started when things were still uncertain. And the wonderful thing is, when you dare to start, that very process will make you ready. Today, as you hear these words, let this be a gentle reminder. Don't wait one more day. Just start. Not when you're good enough. Not when everything is perfect. But right now. Part 2. Why do we always wait for ready? There is an interesting thing about humans. We often think we are lazy. But in fact, we are not. We still do many things every day: go to work, eat, clean, scroll social media, watch movies. The problem is, with the important, life-changing things, we procrastinate. It's not because we don't want to, but because we feel not ready. 1. The fear of failure. This is the biggest and strongest reason. The fear of failure is often disguised as very reasonable statements. I need to study a little more. I don't have enough experience yet. I need to prepare very thoroughly first. It sounds intelligent, but it's actually your brain protecting you from risk. Because if you don't start, you can't fail. But here's the problem. When you avoid failure, you are also avoiding success. For example, I have a friend named Quan, who is passionate about writing. He spent 3 years reading every book on writing, attending workshops, buying online courses, and learning storytelling techniques, but he still hasn't published a single public piece of writing. The reason? Quan is afraid that if he posts his work, no one will read it, or worse, someone will read it and criticize it. But do you know, posting that first piece is the step that will help Quan learn the fastest. Only by putting his work out there can he receive feedback, know his strengths, and find his weaknesses. The fear of failure only vanishes when you face it, not when you run from it. 2. Perfectionism. Perfectionism sounds good. Who doesn't want to do everything perfectly? But the issue is, perfection never arrives. You will always feel a little something is missing. Missing a skill. Missing a connection. Missing a favorable opportunity. And you keep waiting. I remember hearing a famous photographer share once. My best photo is not the one I took most perfectly. It's the one I took the moment I felt not ready enough. If he had waited for the perfect moment, light, and angle, that photo probably wouldn't exist. 3. The comfort zone. The comfort zone is where you don't worry about getting hurt. but it's also where you can't grow. Stepping out of the comfort zone is accepting discomfort, anxiety, awkwardness, lack of confidence. But these very emotions are signs that you are moving in the right direction. Notice this. The first time you went to work, you didn't know if you'd do well. The first time you went to the gym, you were clumsy. The first time you talked to someone you liked, your heart raced. But thanks to starting, you improved. 4. Comparison. Today, just opening social media will show you hundreds of people doing what you want to do, and they are much better than you. They have better skills, looks, connections, money. And you think, how can I compare to them? I'd better wait. But you forget one thing. They also started from zero. If they hadn't started when they weren't ready, you wouldn't have anyone to compare yourself to today. 5. The familiarity of procrastination. When procrastination becomes a habit, you start to feel safe in inaction. You lull yourself with these phrases. I'll do it next week. I'll do it when I have free time. When things are better, I'll start. And so, year after year, you remain in the same spot. What I want you to understand here, waiting for ready is a loop with no end. The more you wait, the more you fear. The more you fear, the more you wait. The only way out is to start first and be ready later. Part 3. The price of not starting. There is a truth many people don't want to face. Not starting is also a choice. But it's a very costly choice. You won't see the cost right away, not in a day, a week, or a month. But over time, that cost accumulates silently. And at some point, you look back and realize you've lost too much. 1. Loss of time, the one thing you can never get back. You can earn back money, buy back possessions, and find new opportunities. But the time that has passed is permanently gone. Every day you delay is a day you lose the chance to build experience, develop skills, and forge relationships. For example, if you had started learning English last year, even just for 15 minutes a day, you would now have over 90 hours of practice. You could read books, watch movies, and chat with foreigners much more confidently. But because you waited until you were less busy, you are still at zero today. Time always moves, whether you act or not. It's just a choice of whether to use it to move forward or to stand still. 2. Loss of opportunity. Opportunity doesn't knock forever. It appears, waits for you to open the door, and if you don't, it will go find someone else. I know a woman named Mai who intended to sell handmade items online. In 2017, this market in Vietnam wasn't overly competitive, and demand was high, but Mai thought, I don't know marketing yet. I'll wait until I finish learning. The result was that by the time she felt ready enough, the market was saturated. Dozens of shops had started before her with the exact same product, capturing all the potential customers. Opportunity is like a train. If you don't get on in time, you'll have to wait a long time for the next one, and sometimes that train never comes back. 3. Loss of self-confidence. It sounds strange, but confidence doesn't come from how much you prepare, but from how much you do. When you procrastinate, you reinforce a message to your brain. I am not good enough to do this. The more you repeat that message, the more you believe it, and at some point, you won't just postpone, you'll give up on the dream entirely. 4. Loss of motivation. Motivation is like a flame. If it's not nurtured, it will go out. When a new idea emerges, you feel excited, but if you don't act immediately, that excitement fades. You'll convince yourself that, I don't need to do it anymore. How many times have you been very excited about a project, but simply because you didn't start early, a few months later you don't even want to think about it anymore? 5. Loss of yourself. This is the most painful price. When you don't dare to start the things you truly desire, you gradually live on autopilot, doing what others expect of you, living according to other people's plans, and forgetting your inner voice. As years pass, you may be successful by societal standards, but deep down, you know you've missed the life you could have lived. A relatable example. I once talked to a retired doctor. He said, the things I regret the most are not the things I did and failed at. The things I regret are the things I wanted to do but never dared to start. You see, failure can be a scar, but it's a scar to be proud of. But not starting leaves an empty space, a void that time cannot fill. Concluding this section. When you understand the price of not starting, you will see that the fear of action is much smaller than the pain of missed opportunity. The question is no longer, am I ready yet? But, am I willing to pay the price for not starting? Part 4: The power of starting right away. We just talked about the price of not starting. Now, let's try to imagine the opposite. What will happen if you start today? Not when you are perfect. Not when you know the outcome for sure. But right in this moment. 1. You create momentum for action. The first step is the hardest. But once you take that first step, the subsequent steps become much easier. There's a law in physics. An object in motion will continue to be in motion. Humans are the same. Once you start, it's easier to maintain than if you haven't done anything. For example, the first day you go to the gym, you might feel lazy and shy. But once you put on your sportswear, tie your shoes, and step out of the house, you will almost certainly go to the gym. The first step opens the door for the second step, and then the third. 2. You learn many times faster. Books, courses, plans, all are good. But knowledge only turns into a skill when you practice it. Here is a truth. You will learn more in 1 week of action than in 1 year of preparation only. For example, someone learning to make videos can read 20 blog posts and watch 50 tutorial videos. But by just filming and editing one video themselves, they will understand the process, know where their mistakes are, and improve quickly. When you start, you will clash, make mistakes, and adjust, and that is the most effective learning process. 3. You meet people you can't meet while standing still. Action is like broadcasting a signal to the world that you are on a journey. And when that signal is sent, you will attract like-minded people. A real example. I had a friend who wanted to start a podcast but didn't dare to. After I persuaded him, he recorded a trial 5-minute episode and posted it online. Just a few days later, a complete stranger with the same interest messaged him to collaborate. They developed the podcast together. And now it has tens of thousands of listens. If you don't start, you will never know who you might meet, and who might help you. 4. You build real self-confidence. Confidence is not, I am sure I will succeed, but no matter what happens, I can keep going. And to have that feeling, you need moments of action, regardless of the outcome. Every time you do something you fear, your brain registers, it turns out I can do it. Little by little, confidence is built up. 5. You create unexpected opportunities. When you act, you open doors that you didn't even know existed before. For example, a girl started a personal blog just to share her thoughts. Not long after, a newspaper discovered it and invited her to contribute. After a few years, she became a beloved book author. That would never have happened if she had only sat writing in her diary and waited until I'm more ready. 6. You feel truly alive. There is a very special feeling when you know you are moving forward. Even if only one small step. That is the feeling of living actively, not being swept away by the current. Even if you haven't reached your goal, moving a little closer every day brings joy, excitement, and meaning to life. Summary. Starting right away does not guarantee immediate success. But it guarantees that you are on the path, and that is the only thing that is sure to lead you to success. Conversely, if you wait to be ready, you will stay in the same position forever. Part 5: Strategies to start even when you're not ready. That all sounds great, but perhaps you are thinking, easier said than done. How can I start when I'm not good enough, and I don't have the conditions? I understand that feeling. And to turn inspiration into action, you need a few simple but powerful strategies. 1. Start small, so small that you can't say no. When the goal is too big, your brain gets scared and automatically procrastinates. The best way is to break it down into steps so small that you can't make excuses. For example, want to exercise right pointing arrow? Just put on your sportswear and walk for 5 minutes. Want to write a book? Right pointing arrow, write the first 50 words. Want to learn English? Right pointing arrow, open the app and learn one new word. Once you've started, momentum will carry you forward. 2. Apply the 2-minute rule. From the book Atomic Habits. If a task takes less than 2 minutes to start, do it immediately. Want to read a book? Open the book and read one page. Want to learn guitar? Pick up the guitar and play one chord. The first 2 minutes are not for reaching the goal, but for breaking the barrier of starting. 3. Find an accountability partner. Having someone to do it with increases your likelihood of taking action many times over. That person can be a friend, a colleague, or an online group. Why is it effective? You have someone to remind you when you want to give up. You can share experiences and get encouragement. You feel more responsible because you don't want to disappoint the other person. 4. Set a public deadline. When you keep a goal in your head, it's easy to postpone. But if you tell others, or post it on social media, you will have positive pressure to follow through. For example, I will launch my first video on September 1st. I will complete a 5 kilometers run by the end of this month. Once you've made a promise to others, you'll be much more serious. 5. Give yourself permission to do it poorly. Treat the first time like a draft. It doesn't have to be beautiful. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be finished. Because you can only edit something that exists. You cannot edit something that only exists in your head. 6. Document the journey. Keep a journal, film a vlog, take pictures of your progress, any way that helps you see yourself improving. When you look back at what you've accomplished, you'll realize you are no longer the person you were on day one. And that is a huge motivation to continue. 7. Reward yourself. Celebrate every milestone, no matter how small. Finished your first day of exercise? Treat yourself to your favorite smoothie. Completed a week of continuous English study? Watch a movie you've been wanting to see. Your brain will register the action as pleasant and want to repeat it. 8. Focus on the process, not the immediate outcome. Instead of thinking, I have to be good right now, think, I only need to improve by 1% every day. The results will come as a natural consequence of the process. The most important thing. Remember, you don't need to see the whole staircase to take the first step. Just see the next step and step. Then the path will gradually reveal itself as you move forward. Part 6: An inspiring conclusion. You know, in this world, no one is naturally ready. Every master was once a clumsy beginner. Every expert was once a complete novice. Every success story you admire started on a very ordinary day. The only difference is that on that day, they started. Imagine yourself looking back 5 years from now. There will be 2 scenarios. 1. You are still in the exact same place, with the same dreams, but nothing has changed. 2. You are living a new life, with skills, experiences, and achievements that you once thought were out of reach. What makes the difference between the 2 scenarios? Only one thing: whether or not you choose to start today. There is a quote I love. The seed doesn't wait for spring to sprout. It sprouts, and then finds spring for itself. You are the same. Don't wait for spring to arrive before you act. Act, and your spring will find you. So, if you have an idea, a dream, a plan, don't wait until you have enough money, enough time, enough experience, or enough confidence. Because that enough might never come. Just start. Right today. With the smallest step you can possibly take. And then you will see, even though you were not ready, step by step, you are becoming the version that even you will be proud of. Conclusion. Life doesn't reward the best. Life rewards those who dare to start. So, go ahead and start. Because, not ready, is the most perfect state to begin.